All right, guys, welcome back. Today I have my friend, Mr. Robski himself.
Hi guys, hey, good to see you, Tim. Good to see you. We finally made it. We are like neighbors from each other, but there's never enough time. It's funny how it works to see in person. But
I can literally throw a rock probably and hit Rob's house, but we get together like once a year.
But here we are. Just before Christmas, so it will be a Christmas edition special.
Yes, Merry Christmas, everybody, early from both of us.
Merry Christmas, guys.
And we wanted to talk about kind of the state of the AK market. Things have changed. We've had sanctions slapped against Russia, and with the first round of sanctions, we saw the Segas go away. And then we saw, after Trump got elected, when we thought we were immune from this stuff, then we saw the State Department issue more sanctions against Russia. This time, Malat got hit, and now we see no firearms coming in out of Russia except for maybe double-barrel shotguns. AKs, cut off.
Cut off. You're absolutely correct, Tim. And for over 2 months, I was a little bit absent because of my other commitments. So I went back home and I tried to catch up with the news and see maybe something changed, improved, and everything. But unfortunately, no. We still do not see any Saigas coming in. So the Russian Kalashnikov products are still on a banned list. And as you said too, the Moat got spanked. That was, I think, around summertime when those sanctions were imposed. And it's so great that you addressed the issue here, because I want to debunk some of the rumors right away.
Good.
We had a little bit chat about this before we started the live stream, but some people were saying, oh, because the Russian Kalashnikov, there may be a change in the ownership from a government state. They will drop their stake in the company. It will be all completely private. This will remove the Kalashnikov from sanctions list. That's absolutely not true. Guys, if you will read how the sanctions by the Obama administration were worded, really the condition for removal of the sanctions is Russians pulling out of the Ukraine and Crimea. And that's never going to happen.
Well, Crimea is now part of Russia.
Part of the Russia.
They voted it.
Exactly.
They're now there. There's still obviously a dispute between Ukraine and Russia. And
without going into the details
right.
on that, we don't want to inject the politics, but that's basically, that was the condition. So there is no freaking way we're not going to see the sanctions removed against the Kalashnikov, no matter who the owner is, because the conditions at this point are not met, and I don't think so that the President Putin will do anything, to pull out from
no,
Ukraine.
He's pretty committed, I think.
He's pretty committed.
And
yes.
I know a lot of crazy theories. People go, well, what if they took the tooling out of Russia, they moved it to China, then they put it in some other third world country, and then secretly build the AKs on Russian tooling and then get them into the United States. If the money trail gets tracked back to Russia in any way whatsoever, the State Department will cut it off. Guys, never in the history of gun bans, never in the history of sanctions being leveled against another country that affected gun bans, the SVDs, remember that?
Yep.
That's treaty, guys. We can't have Russian SVDs because of a treaty we signed with the Russians banning them voluntarily. We both said we don't want them. Well, we want them, but our elected government officials decided we didn't want them for us.
You're absolutely correct. Going back to the SVDs, again, this is some sort of the mind-blowing agreement, because both parties, from Russia and from the US, sign on that piece of the paper. And we cannot have SVD for some strange reason. You can still buy whatever was before the ban imported to United States, but the prices are absolutely astronomical. I think the last one I have seen sold for over $12,000. And
that's been a while ago. A real Russian SVD, not a Tiger that was converted.
No, I'm not even.
20 grand is what I saw the last one sell for.
It's absolutely a madness, because from collector's point of view, it's a nice piece of the history, worth it to have it. But like from the shooter point of view, there's really not that much on that gun. No. It's a nice rifle and everything, but for sure it's not worth it at $20,000.
No.
I mean,
in terms of accuracy, guys, I actually did a video where I took a Vepr, a PSL, and a NDM86, which is a Russian SVD. and took them out, fired them all, and guess what? They all performed about the same.
Yeah, exactly.
They're a little over 1.5-inch guns with the right ammo if they like it.
There you go, guys. So, like from the collector's point of view, yes, because of the limited status,
Right.
definitely, it's demanding the money, and people are paying obviously the money, and that's why it's selling for that price. But like from the user point of view, I will never ever dump that kind of money on the rifle to shoot and to go and engage the targets for fun at 1,000 or 1,200 meters. That would be a bad
back
decision.
when we could get Vepers, we could have Chase Accurize one like
Absolutely.
I have my the one we call the P Maganov. There's an MOA gun or better. But yeah, that outshoots my SVD by a long shot. But
there you go. But
it gets back to we've never seen gun bans lifted. The same thing's true of Chinese AKs. You remember when they issued sanctions against China because they pulled some shenanigans? We'll never see Chinese rifles again in this country. Handguns, rifles, everything gone.
It's again, thanks for addressing the ban on the Chinese. And guys, we have to understand that the Chinese were caught doing some under table bad stuff. There's no question about it. If I remember this correctly, the guns, they were selling a full auto guns to the gangs in LA. And you have to remember it's California, so only politicians from California like to sell illegal guns.
Right.
Their state senators to peddle the
It's okay for their senators.
The gangs. So they didn't like any competition. They removed the competition out. But all joking aside, yeah, look how long time ago the ban on the Chinese was, and to this day we're not never. And I'm not like. I honestly think so. We will never see the Norincos going back to United States.
No.
That ban is never going to be changed or removed. Interestingly enough, when I'm talking to the AKOU members from the European Union, you can purchase those guns in Europe. They are flooding the Europe, but the quality went down.
Really?
So the feedback is that people are extremely unhappy with the Chinese AKs right now, which are available new production in Europe, and they are complaining.
You know what's funny though? But I remember because I'm an old fart, and I remember when I could buy Chinese-made AKs at gun shows for, let's say, $289. They were really, really, really affordable, and everybody considered them communist junk. Communist junk gun can't hit the inside of a barn if you're firing the AK while standing inside of it. Horribly inaccurate, unreliable, poorly made. Nobody wanted them, and then they banned them. And now people pay $5,000 for them and insist they're some of the best built AKs on the market. So how much of this is the fact that they're readily available and affordable, and the perception is that they're garbage, or the Chinese really turning out bad guns now?
Unfortunately, we cannot answer to that question because we cannot purchase the new production and test it by ourselves. I would love to put the new Norinco production to the 5,000 rounds test and see where is this standing.
I'd love to see it.
It's not going to happen. And for us to travel to Europe and do so, it will be extremely expensive and kind of counterproductive because, to show you guys a gun which you cannot purchase it, what's the point?
Right.
So, but again, you are absolutely correct. I do not see any chances for sanctions to be removed. That imports market keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking.
So where does that leave us as American consumers with regards to buying AKs? I mean, what do we have left? I mean, the Russians are out of the picture, the Chinese are out of the picture, the Bulgarian guns are trickling in. The prices are relatively high. Most consumers are used to paying Wasser 10 prices.
That's true. Honestly, Tim, I'm scared even to open the emails from KVAR because they have a strange history of the creative marketing tactics. And every time when you open their email, there's something wrong. We are limiting. We're not getting any more SAM 7Rs right now. That's the current message from the arsenal, basically, that they are not exporting milled SAM 7Rs, and that's another gun which we probably, if the message is true from KVAR about the limitations, import limitations, that's we're not going to see anymore SAM 7R, which was a decent gun, really enjoyable to shoot and everything. We have lost already the SLR the 107FR, which was with the folding stock. Then we lost the SLR 104FR, which was really a big hit in my eyes because this is like last mass-produced 74 type rifle available on the US market, and the 545 by 39 already was taking a hit, and now we lost the SLR 104 this year.
Yeah.
So it's just, if you look at the whole 2017, it wasn't really a good year for the import rifles or for the AK rifles whatsoever. Speaking about the pricing, what is killing me too, unfortunately, the prices for the AKs continue to climb. And we are reaching the levels of $12, $13, $14, $15, $1,600 for rather common guns, which we had not that long time ago, available for a much better pricing. So with that being said, I think so at some point the people will have to, who are responsible for either making them or importing them, it has to be some sort of come to Jesus moment, because how much price increase the public can take.
Right.
If you right now, because of the market, what's happening, you can buy a high quality AR or any other rifles in a better calibers for $1,200, $1,300. Why would you spend the almost $2,000 or $1,700 on an AK in 7.62 by 39?
Right.
It's not even the AK, but that cartridge 7.62 by 39. It's not really optimal cartridge. It was great in the past, but every time when you want to squeeze out of it, you're going to run into the wall because the cartridge has the limitations. So this is the important question too for the public. How much hits they can take. It is true that the AK was accelerating in popularity in the recent years, but right now I think so the way how the prices leveled out and how the AR-10 market is becoming more attractive.
Yeah,
the AR-15 is absolutely rock bottom prices.
Oh, you're seeing $499 for complete Smith & Wesson AR-15s.
Yes, and they are maybe not top notch, but they are decent rifles, which will continue to work. And
those are the prices we used to see Wasser 10s at.
Absolutely. And Wasser 10, unfortunately, right now in some outfits you see for $799, $899, where you can still find them below $600. But this is the craziness, that vicious cycle which is happening right now. And I think so in the long run it is going to hurt the AK market even more, because there is a limit. I strongly believe there is a limit how much people can take on the price increases, and that's the bottom line.
Well, I think one of the misconceptions that people have about the AK is that, first of all, it's poorly made, and that it's made can be made in caves by peasants and doesn't require advanced machinery. And the truth of the matter is there are a lot of AK assemblers here in the United States. Sure. There are very few AK builders in the United States. An assembler buys a receiver that's already formed, already has the rails welded in place, has the holes drilled, and they basically press a barrel in, they pop a couple rivets in, and they call it a day. Not much skill required in that. A lot more skill required to do that than to put an AR-15 together from a box of parts. But once you get into, sorry guys, I got a little bit of a frog in my throat. Once you actually get into building AKs and making custom AKs, there are very, very few people in this country that are competent. I can count all of them on one hand. Absolutely. And probably I wouldn't need all my fingers. So people think that AKs are stupid simple to build and just anybody can hobble one together and it'll work, and nothing could be further from the truth. Everything has to be done just right for these guns to work at their optimum performance. And so it's a testament to the design that guns like the RAS-47 will fire at least 500 rounds before it blows up. It's a testament to the design of the rifle that it's very robust, but that's not your best option. And it does take a lot more skill to put a good quality AK together in terms of a skilled labor than it does an AR-15.
Absolutely, Tim, you're nailing the nail into the head, and you are spot on. What we got here is something hopefully what the people will see very soon, available online.
They're in production, yeah.
They're in production, but this is the rifle built from the Romanian parts kits. So the parts kits parts were already made, and the Definitive Arms is assembling them and building those beautiful guns and putting them together. But the worst part of the process were made. The parts were made. So right now it's just the assembly. Now, if you would like to start producing everything from the ground zero, the AK rifle is much more complicated and harder to build from the ground up, build all the parts and deliver them, and then of course the assembly, then
Right.
the AR-15 or AR-10 or any new generation of the combat rifle or carbine.
Right.
That's not even a question. If you look at the process, what is required to build all these parts and everything, it's a very labor-intensive process. And if you want to keep really a high quality during the assembling all the parts together, it will consume a lot of time.
It's a very manual process.
Absolutely.
You don't push print in a machine and it spits out a finished gun. It takes very skilled labor to put one of these together, which is why it's not surprising. People look at this and they go, oh, that's cheaply made and it's cheap to produce and it's made of low quality components, and nothing can be further from the truth. This gun takes a lot more time to build, takes extremely precise materials. What the rivets are made from has to be extremely precise. If you don't use the right rivets, the gun will come apart with basic use.
The way how the basically AK made on the sheet metal receiver acts when you pull that trigger, it flexes like a rubber band.
Right.
So all those rivets are absolutely a crucial part of the components on the rifle, and the correct materials and specs and everything, heat treatment of each part has to be spot on. There is very little forgiveness on that rifle. It's kind of funny because we like to think that the AK has all those loose tolerances and everything, and it's a lot of forgiveness. But in reality, when we're talking about the manufacturing process and building the AKs, there is a very little forgiveness for the manufacturers and how they produce them and how they develop the product, which you can later on take it to the range, shoot, and have fun.
Right.
So yeah, I totally agree with this. And unfortunately, because of that process of the putting the correct parts, using the correct materials, and then the labor, it will demand the higher prices for the product, which brings us again to the state of the market. And are we ready to pay those prices for the 7.62 by 39 driven gun? It's not that much. Like, you know, are you ready to pay the $1,600 for the AK? This is the question. Are you ready to pay that price for a 7.62 by 39 gun, which will have a limited use because of the cartridge?
And that's the question, guys, because if we start producing AKs 100% in the United States, where all the components, the trunnions, the barrels, the gas blocks, the sights, everything is made in the United States, the cost to produce the gun is going to be significantly higher than it is to produce the gun in a country like Russia, in a country like Romania. These are countries that produce these for their own military. The cost of tooling up and manufacturing these things was paid for decades ago. And that's how they can crank them out at extremely low prices, import them, pay tariffs, pay all the taxes, and still get them to market for half or a third the price of what a U.S. gun made of as good or better quality in most cases, like this rifle. It's just going to be an expensive rifle. And the U.S. consumer has gotten used to the idea that an AK should cost no more than $600. And if you pay no more than $600, this is what you're going to get. And this doesn't compare to the Russian guns, not even close.
It does not. And again, you're hitting the nail in the head. You have to understand, guys, that like in Romania, Bulgaria, or even Russia, a lot of the production cost is absorbed or offset by the military contracts and the support of the government. So these guys, they don't have to face basically a ground up operation, building up everything from the beginning. Like what if you would decide to manufacture the AKs from all the little parts, even the muzzle brakes, like from basically a ground zero. And you have to fund that project, and it's a research and development and the quality of the materials. And and that's, you know, I don't know. I do not have an answer to that question. I honestly don't know what will be the price point supported by the US fan base of the AK rifle. It's a beautiful rifle. I absolutely love them. But at the same moment, I do realize that the people have their own limits. And as much as I love shooting AKs, I do recognize the limitations of 7.62 by 39 and what that rifle can do for me. Because at the end of the day, that's the question: what the rifle can do for you, right? If you're just looking for the gun to start dumping the magazines into the ground, by all means, 7.62 by 39, they're cheap. But if you're looking for to do something more, like even from the recreational point of view, engage in competition activities or things like this, you probably will be better off with 545 by 39.
I agree.
And you will have more fun on that side. But unfortunately, that caliber is also not very popular in the United States.
And it was becoming popular.
It was.
Because the 74s were being imported.
Yes.
They were widely available. They were affordable. Then we had the flow of 7.6 ammunition, which is the actual military ball, coming into the country, dirt cheap prices for spam cans of this stuff. And then somebody, and we don't know who, and we've tried to find out, submitted a 545 by 39 handgun to ATF for approval. And the minute they do that, they classify it as a handgun caliber, and now it's banned from import because it's armor piercing. Despite the fact that the legislators that wrote the law said that was not the spirit of the law, they wrote the ATF letter saying don't do that. They did it anyway. It killed 7.6, and I'll never forget, a week after that happened, people were coming in and dumping their 74s for nothing. I can't get ammo for it anymore. Yes, you can. It's 1 cent more round than 7.62 by 39. But everybody was of the opinion that the ammo was gone because it was banned, and now they had to get rid of their guns quick and buy 7.62 by 39 guns, when in reality, there's plenty of ammo for these guns.
Absolutely.
It's just as affordable, and it's a better caliber.
This is one of my most favorite AKs. This was the original Alpha AK, which we built together with Chase from Definitive Arms. This was way before Larry Vickers posted the video about the Alpha AK.
The Alpha, that's right, yeah.
This was way before. The idea was that maybe we'll develop the gun which could be, pimped out and bring the AK platform to the 21st century.
Yeah.
So this is how it was created. As you can see, it's a little bit beat up and abused, but it's still working great. And it was built on the original Saiga 545 by 39, and it was an awesome gun. It still has the markings, AKOU Alpha. I don't know, probably not going to be visible.
I can see it.
On the receiver. But
hold it up just right to the camera.
Just right to the camera, yeah. So that was original Alpha. Unfortunately, at that time, and that was before the ban on imports of Saigas. Even then, when we calculated the cost and everything, it would be too much,
Way too much
for the regular guy, and we kind of gave up on the project. But this beautiful rifle still stayed, and it serves me well, and it shoots. And it's a shame that we cannot get him. But yeah, the price point will be always an issue, and that's always a struggle now. And I honestly don't know what is the future, what the future holds. You see some of the parts kits coming out from Poland, from WBP, and the people are building guns on those parts kits. How they're going to perform in the long run, we don't know either, right?
We've seen some variances in it, right? We've seen some good parts, we've seen some bad parts. But I think it's important to point out that the parts that are coming out of Poland, people are under the misconception that they're true military factory parts.
No.
And they are not. They're 100% commercial parts built in a separate facility that just happens to be in the same city of Radom that the original FK.
I explained this in one of my videos about the WBP. So the WBP, it's a privately owned company. They are not associated with the FB Radom, which is known by producing barrels and all other before the communists went down, Circle AK, famous Circle AK. Interestingly enough, the FB Radom doesn't even own right now the trademark Circle AK. Some other company pushes the right for it.
Oh,
so
man.
they lost
Talk
that.
about a confusing market.
Yes, but yeah, the WBP is located totally in a different place than the FB Radom. It's a privately owned company. There is another company located in Radom, Pioneer Arms, and they are like literally a few blocks away from the FB Radom. But again, don't confuse these two. They have nothing to do with each other. It's just they are located in the same city. Right. So the Pioneer Arms is located in the city of Radom, and the FB Radom, which means the weapons factory, FB, it's a Fabryka Broni, weapons factory, Radom is located in the same city, but two different buildings, two different production lines, I mean, two completely different businesses, and they have nothing to do with each other.
And they are, though, bringing in the parts that are necessary to complete kit builds. So now we have U.S. receivers, Companies have come and gone that have tried to do, you know, the front and rear trunnions, the bolt carriers, the bolts. We've seen, you know, a number of different companies come and go. We see companies still attempting to pull it off. I mean, your testing speaks volumes. Now, this one is a brand new rifle I picked up. I've yet to ever fire it. I was going to do the exact same 5,000 round testing to this gun that you did to yours, just to see if the problems were duplicated. But I think we've seen enough at this point to know that I can take a file, just a bastard file, and run it across this nitrided barrel, and I can blow that nitriding right off, and I'm into buttery soft steel. The barrels aren't properly treated. The receivers are thick. It's because they're nitriding the receivers. They're damaging the heat treat, so they have to use a thicker receiver to keep the gun together. I mean, there's all sorts of weirdness that goes on with the RS-47.
Between all the Century guns made by Century, not imported by Century.
The imports are rock solid.
They're importing the Wassertens, the Zastavas, and that's totally different discussion. But between the completely made rifles by Century, which you got RAS-47 and C-39 version 2 or version 2 Alpha, which is the newest one with the addition of the side rail.
Okay.
I would take the C-39 because the C-39 has, if you could bring it to the table.
Yeah, here, I'll take that one.
Yeah, put that one away. But the C-39 at least has that milled receiver. Right. And the biggest problems, the most issues I have seen so far with those rifles are related to the bolt and the bolt carrier. I checked yours, and incredibly enough, you shot yours a lot suppressed. I shot that. This
was at your range 2 or 3 years ago, and I have run this thing with a can on it. You can see the grime, the carbon just oozing. I don't clean the gun. I've abused the snot out of it. I don't know how many thousands of rounds I've put through it, but Rob has looked it over and agrees there's nowhere
and
that's unexpected in this gun.
On your bolt and the bolt carrier, it looks much better than on my current C-39 version 2, which I'm testing right now, and we are at the 3,500 rounds. We just completed another episode with Paul yesterday. But the point is, my bolt is deforming completely, like you can see on the locking locks and everything, and this one isn't. So this brings me again to the quality control. Right. Quality control, and probably why is that happening, right? And I have seen this from the other members when we posted numerous pictures from both RAS-47 and C-39 version 2 components, which are basically either destroyed or by cycling or just falling apart. And then you got rifles like yours, and it's perfectly fine.
Right.
I cannot explain this other than there is a problem with the quality control.
And that's where costs get cut a lot of times in manufacturing. A lot of companies will say that they're making their receiver flats out of certified steel. But the reality is that the last 10 rolls of steel they've gotten weren't certified. Yeah, they may have gotten previous rolls of steel certified, but to cut costs, they're cutting out the certification process. In terms of heat treating a receiver, if you don't have strict quality controls in place and strict procedures in place, every time you harden something, either by nitriding it or quenching it in oil and heat treating it that way, if you don't have exact processes and exacting quality assurance standards, you're going to get what we see. My rifle, this thing will probably last me the rest of my life. Yours is going to be lucky to make it to 5,000 rounds.
That is correct. What I will say also to my biggest grudge against the Century was I didn't agree with their marketing tactics. Again, to call this out of the gate the best AK rifle ever made on the face of the earth was a slap in the face to all of us, right?
Yeah.
And if they would just say, hey, we continue to develop, we'll be listening to the feedback and making the improvements on the fly, because we do, please understand us, it is a new adventure for us and we are learning, the reception would be much better. But they came out of the gate with guns blazing and trying to say so, it is what it is at this point. But still, I just recently traveled to all the southern states, and I'll tell you that these guns are flooding the stores in Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky. Basically all you see is a C-39 version 2 and the RAS-47.
That's all we have left.
That's all we have left from the American-made manufacturing. Speaking about that, that was unfortunately 2017. At the beginning of 2017, again we lost the DDI. DDI was kind of trying to manufacture their own guns, and that company disappeared completely right now from the face of the earth.
Yeah, so that was a mess. So you had DDI that kind of came out of nowhere, exploded onto the scene. They purchased, what was the name of the company they had purchased in Tennessee? Waffen Works.
Yes.
I remember I have one of their early milled receiver guns. It still says Waffen Works and DDI on it. And, you know, they took it over. They started manufacturing. They started building AKMs. They were going through their own growing pains. They were nitriding entire guns. They realized, oh, we can't nitride the receivers. That screws up the heat treat, the temper. So they just nitrided the barrels, and they, you know, heat tempered the receivers. They were going through a learning process, but they were going in the right direction. And then they sold to PSA, and PSA and Century, in terms of the quality of the products, I mean, they fight for the bottom position in their manufactured items. You know, Century imports all sorts of great guns, you know, the Janik pistols, stuff like that. Those are fine imports. If you can get around the politics of Turkey, I know a lot of people can't, but the stuff that they're producing in the United States, in my opinion, when you compare it to stuff that's made in military arsenals overseas, even the worst of the examples being the Romanians, the U.S. guns still pale by comparison. And when we're talking about the PSAs and we're talking about the Century Arms guns.
That's true.
So we're waiting for somebody to step in to make a better product.
I don't know. At this point, it's a really grim picture. Like, Tim, I really don't want to sugarcoat to you guys, but I do not see a lot of excitement on the AK side. And as I said, the price will be always a tough to swallow pill, because it is a point, like you have to have an honest conversation with yourself. You know, are you really ready to pay that kind of price for a 7.62 by 39 rifle?
Do you remember when the Sharps brother receiver came out? And that thing was really expensive. Didn't do very well. No,
I think the American Defense is still manufacturing the rifles on their receivers, but again, the price point for those is hovering around $2,000.
Right.
And very well, they may be a great quality guns, but again, you are paying over $2,000 for a 7.62 by 39 rifle. And that has a lot of people stop in the tracks, because they realize at that price point, I can go somewhere else, and I'm not telling you to buy, you know, that you will have a better AR-15, or no, you can buy a completely different out of the box gun, CZ brand or whatever, right? You want to have fun, you can find the rifles to spend that kind of the money and get most out of it. Because at the end of the day, that's all it is, you know, what you're getting in exchange. So where's the value at?
Basically what we've had happen is, because for years, even when I was a kid, from the Chinese imports to the affordable Russian imports to the affordable Bulgarian and the affordable Romanian, the affordable Egyptian imports, and I'm probably missing 10 importers of AKs over the last 30 years, we've become accustomed to these things costing no more than $400 or $500. When they were $399, people bitched when they went to $499. I'll never pay $499 for an AK. They're garbage. They shouldn't cost more than $399. And then they go to $599. I'll never pay $599 for an AK. But what's happening is the parts kits in these other countries are drying up. That's causing the parts kits, the ones that are cut up and sent in for us to rebuild on new receivers, the cost of those kits are going up and the supply's diminishing. And what we're finding is, in the end, if you're going to want an AK in the next 5 years, you're going to be paying more than $599 if you want something other than a gun that's good for 200 rounds.
Speaking about the parts kits, guys, you have to understand what Tim is saying is absolutely correct. Again, unfortunately, I do have a great relationships with a lot of people in Poland who are basically having access to the parts kits, and they could ship or get the parts kits and ship them to United States. But it is literally a pricing war between the USA importers and the importers from all over the world. And the US was being outbid for the people were paying the better price, and they were purchasing a complete guns from Africa or whatever, right? Wherever those guns were going. Instead of cutting the gun to pieces, removing, disassembling all the components, packaging, and shipping them to United States. For the arms dealers, it is better to sell the whole gun, put it in a box, ship it, then cut to pieces, separate all the parts, protect them for the shipment, and that's how we were getting screwed in with the parts kits. What is happening, we are constantly losing those parts kits because right now whatever is left, and there's not that much left in the armories in those former Soviet bloc satellite countries. There's not that much left at this point, but whatever is left is being sold to the highest bidder, and the parts kits are basically, prices are going up even on the Romanian parts kits, which is, like you said before, it's not really the highest quality parts kits we could get, but I don't see any chance to improve on that situation either, because the Africa and other parts of the world that will be always in the need
conflict zones that need weapons.
This is probably there is a reason why war is a good business, right? And the people are making money on it, selling, and you have to remember that we are just the recreational shooters, right? So we are on the very end of the whole.
But worse than that, we're not just recreational shooters, but to import guns into the United States. We like to think of ourselves as the land of the free and the home of the brave. We're definitely the home of the brave. The land of the free, not so much, because I've traveled to presumably less free countries in Europe that have better gun laws than we have. They can go in and buy suppressors with handguns and walk out and go home. There's nothing special to be done about it. But so when you go to import a parts kit into the United States, there are ATF regulations saying that it has to be torch cut in 3 different places, and these parts have to be cut by the torch. If they're not cut by the torch, they're illegal for import. And then there's all sorts of laws, and you have to file Form 6s on this end. They have to file export licenses on their end. They have to make sure that they're ATF compliant. You have to send samples to ATF. ATF says, yes, these are importable. It's one big nightmare that makes it extremely expensive, and it makes it extremely undesirable for a company like FB Radom to say, well, we could sell these guns, put them in a box and ship them to Africa and make our money, or we could spend 3 months going through all these ATF regulations, and we may not get them into the country anyway because the laws may change. Exactly. It's a lot easier just to sell it to the African nation that's looking to buy them, or the whatever countries of war at the moment.
This is exactly right. Like, just this is the feedback from the people who are dealing with that kind of business, and they basically said it's not worth it. It's not worth it to jump through all those hoops in order to make it legal and to ship to the United States, because it's cost us way too much to go through all of these steps and prepare the package of shipment parts to United States instead of selling to Africa or whatever the designation. I'm using Africa, maybe it's not Africa,
It could be anywhere there's a conflict.
Don't jump on that. Oh, what's in Africa? I don't know what's in Africa. I'm just using the Africa as an example, guys, so don't get hooked on it. But the only hope, the only thing which I think will impact the prices on the parts kits, if by some act of God miracle, we will have access to the parts kits from Russia, because they are endless. They are literally endless warehouses loaded with AKs, not used. And
it'd be nice, but sanctions again.
Again, sanctions. But if by some miracle, as I said, because it will have to be a miracle, we'll have access to those parts kits. Yes, we'll be back in business, and we'll be definitely cooking on all cylinders and moving forward. But that's not going to happen, basically, because of the reasons we spoke about.
That, or we're going to have to take volunteers to go kick the Russians out of Ukraine so we can get our sanctions lifted.
We got nothing to do with that. Okay, we're not going to go involved in the politics. But basically, yes, that would be the condition to make that possible. But, so
in the end, I mean, really, we have custom builders right now, and you're looking at paying. Sorry, guys, my wife is calling me over and over again.
Tim, could you spoil the surprise? What will be the price point for that Rami kit build gun? Could you spoil what will be the price?
A lot of people asking for Chase. He's not on camera.
Chase, come.
Chase, you want to sit down? Background? Chase is going to sit down. I'm going to call my wife back because she's called me multiple times. I'm just hoping the house isn't on fire. Chase, have at it. Answer some questions.
So Chase, from my point of view, what would be the price for that parts kit build?
You know, we've got a lot of new things coming to market. You know, we did buy up some old Romanian kits, and we're trying to really come in, you know, just like talking about getting that right price point. I mean, a lot of people for a standard 7.62 rocket lot gun aren't going to be in the market to spend $1,400-$1,500. That's why it makes producing your own parts not very cost effective. You know, we did buy up some older Romanian kits, and you know, trying to make a economy friendly workhorse grade gun. I mean, they're older, they're lightly used. You might find a ding in the dust cover. We've restored everything. We replaced all the springs. You know, they got a tough finish on them. We lightly resealed all the wood and stuff like that. And these will be under $1,000 for sure. You know,
$100,000. So this would be a nice, if you want to have that original AKOU pattern gun. That will be the price to pay. And of course, if you want to modify it and put some accessories, this is a standard AKM design, so we will take all the accessories designed for the AKMs.
Well, you know, I mean, we've got like our light rails on the side. You know, we've gotten you know, choice 4150 barrels that are
so whatever you see on the gun, this is how the gun will be sold. This is the original Romanian furniture. What barrels are you using?
This is a 4150
4150
CMB nitrided barrel. I use the same barrel from the same supplier on some of my select fire machine gun samples. I've got one actually right behind us that's got almost 30,000 rounds through it. It's definitely worth, I think it's about right around 25,000, 26,000 rounds. And I mean, you can see that most of that is full auto magazine dumps. The rifling's a little worn, certainly, but it still shoots straight. The barrel's holding up well. And I think most people are going to be hard pressed to ever even get 30K through their gun. But when it's holding up, the rivets look good. You know, we're trying to build guns that are going to be in that cost effective window for people. And yeah, the Romanian parts, the thing is, the Romanians generally got the metallurgy right. The stuff is tough, the metal is good. The craftsmanship on how they machine it's not always the best. You know, the sockets for the press fit of the blocks can be off center, things like that. So, you know, a lot of these guys are slamming these things together with quick fixtures, and we still take the time. We're going through, we're using virgin receivers. We drill the holes 1-to-1 matched to the set. We you know, go in and we line all the stuff up on a plate, like in the video you came down and built guns with us. We do all that stuff. You know, we spend 3 and 4 times the amount of time it takes to put these together than people just truly assembly line building them. And you know, we're trying to bring that grade of fighting tool down to an affordable cost where people can get it. You know, we're at probably at the higher end of the medium tier, you know, working man's gun.
When those will be available for the average guy?
We actually, I mean, we're still getting set up here in Indiana. We just got our refinishing and stuff up. We have a set of these that'll probably be available in hopefully the next week or so. You know, but that we still have a little bit of a backlog from a lot of customers in Florida, and we're finishing up a lot of those guns. That's really gonna be before we start accepting additional work. And we do have some rarer parts kits, more exotic things in the works. Those will be coming out. Naturally, they'll be a lot more money than these, but we are going to try to maintain supplying, you know, Romanian, Hungarian kits and stuff that are in the more affordable range to help, you know, offset some of the guys who want something a little bit higher than say the RAS 47, but don't want to drop $1,500.
As far as for the people to purchase it, what they should watch, the Copper Customs website?
Yeah, you know, obviously we're here cohabitating with Copper Custom. We have probably between now and the first or second week of January, a lot of things that'll be added to the website and moving forward.
To the Definitive Arms website.
Definitive Arms website, we will have a standalone page. The majority of our wares and services are going to be, you know, handled through Copper. I mean, anybody who's dealt with us direct knows, you know, we're a very small family company. We don't have a huge sales team. We don't have a million people there to answer phones. I mean, at the point it was just me and my father. A lot of guys who called the shop have probably spoken to myself, my girlfriend, or my mother in the past. And you know, Copper has a great rep for customer service and, you know, handling sales and filling customer service obligations. A lot of people are going to call to get a hold of us. We'll be dealing with the Copper sales staff, and that's so guys like myself can stick to doing this, and we can actually get more guns out, because our biggest problem is making enough of the stuff. It's not really trying to get it to fly off the shelf.
That's absolutely very cool, and you know, I welcome another option from especially from your outlet. We have a long-standing relationship of guns which I purchased from you, and they always deliver. That's when you pull the trigger, there is a bang, and it's usually very accurate. You make very accurate rifles as well, and I'm glad to see that this is coming. And if you guys are watching and looking for the AK, probably keep watching the Copper Custom and Definitive Arms websites and try to get those, because that is for below $1,000. That's an awesome rifle.
Absolutely, and you know, everybody can keep their eyes peeled. We will have a lot of similar offerings coming about, and basically it's going to be dictated by availability of parts and what's there. Just like, you know, right now I can't call up and just be like, oh, let me get 10,000 of these. There's 100 this day, there's 500 the next day, there's 0 the third day, and that's it, you know. And what we can get, we will, and we're working on some of our own stuff, and we'll have a lot of offerings coming to market in 2018.
Well, it was great to see you, Chase. Good luck at the new place.
Absolutely.
We are neighbors right now too, so hey, hopefully we'll get you more and more on the camera.
Right on, man. We'll definitely have to go and get some more rounds downrange together as well.
Sounds like a good plan. Tim is back. Tim was released from the custody of his wife.
Never ending.
We forgot to talk about the one more option. This is like truly modernized AK version, IWI Galil Ace. You had a lot of contact with that rifle, a lot of trigger time. I shot some. I didn't put a lot of rounds on those rifles. It was interesting to see. I had my reservations about that rail. I wasn't sure how this is going to perform, because when I was involved, I was more in those prototype stages when this rifle was working. But this is the finished product, and interestingly enough, you have a Zhukov type rail on it. Was that the custom fit?
Yeah, we did that. We decided to put Zhukov furniture on it because the round handguards, the military handguards, I like having the original military configuration, but also from a practical sense, this is more narrow. It allows you to put things on there like flashlights and all sorts of good stuff. So the Zhukov is nice because it gives you the MOE, gives you the hand stop. But overall, these rifles are you know, probably one of the best AKs on the market, and the price reflects that. You know, you're getting up into the $2,000 price range when you start looking at these, especially on 308. But it is an AK, but it's a very, let's say, refined AK, because it has that reciprocating charging handle on the left-hand side, has the, you know,
safety.
That safety lever with the little muted safety lever here that throws back to the original Galil. You know, it still has the side folding stock, which is also, you know, adjustable for length of pull, and it has great iron sights. It's a very nice, well-made rifle, but it's just out of the price range of so many people.
Like right off the bat, when those rifles were released, and I have seen the MSRP on it, they come down a little bit, but still it's a lot of money to pay for the rifle chambered in 7.62 by 39. The 308 option, it can deliver more, but again, the price is even higher on the 308, and there are other solutions which are maybe more attractive to the customers.
Right.
It is probably the most modernized factory-made version of the AK available in the US market. So if someone is looking to have a 21st century AK, basically this is the option.
This is as good as it gets.
This is as good as it gets, and again, it's a factory barrel, and everything is made by the factory, by the company which knows how to build the rifle.
Extremely high quality product, but then the price reflects that, right?
Price and again, you know, you're not seeing them very often at the ranges either, because of the price point. I mean, it is expensive.
But it was true of the original Galils too. I remember
That's true.
when they were on the market. I have a couple of the originals that have just skyrocketed in value. But again, people, that was when the original Galils came out. They were close to $1,000 or more. When you can buy an AK from China for $200, nobody's going to buy the Israeli rifle.
Sure.
And now they're extremely collectible rifles because so few of them were sold, because the price point was always so high.
It's like if you look into the AK market in the United States, it's extremely interesting, and I hope so at some point some historian will write a book how everything
It'll
evolved.
be that thick, man.
So the older guys, you know, can sit and pull their hairs out, because if you really backtrack and see even the old newspaper ads for how much the old imported AKs were selling for,
so
it's
cheap.
absolutely incredible. I don't want to even open those newspapers, and I don't want to read them because it makes you sick.
Yeah.
But it is we are on the eve of you know, the 2017 is ending, and 2018 is moving forward, and unfortunately, if I look into the horizon, I do not see a lot of encouraging news for the AK market in the United States. That's the reality of the situation.
We'll see what happens at SHOT Show this year. Sure. I'm not going to be going. Are you going to go to SHOT Show?
No, I'm not going to the SHOT Show.
I'm kind of done with SHOT Show, but you know, we'll see what comes out of SHOT Show. You know, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, what about Kalashnikov USA? What about Kalashnikov USA? I mean, nobody knows anything about them. There's so much we don't know, and there's so many weird connections we're all
Absolutely.
speculating on. It's really, really weird, because when I was at their booth, every year their booth gets bigger. Every year they get more production guns hanging on the walls, but every year they don't sell anything.
The way I'm looking at the Kalashnikov USA, just like you said, they probably had one of the best booths in past SHOT Show. It was absolutely
Massive.
amazing. The beautiful model girls too.
Yeah.
You know,
The beautiful Russian girls with tons of rifles.
It was really well made. But here we are. We are in the December of 2017, and yet I have seen even one rifle, not the shotgun. They released the shotgun, but I haven't seen even one rifle made by them and available for purchasing.
They had a wall full of Vichezes.
Yes, it was absolutely a Saiga 9. It wasn't close to it. It was like absolutely perfect clone.
Made on military tooling.
Absolutely.
I would stake my paycheck that I don't get on it.
They were looking very promising. They were looking very good. But again, here we are, end of the year. And if you will backtrack, if you will watch probably yours and my videos from the SHOT Show from the last year, the interviews we did, they were promising to have those guns released around summertime. Then there was a fall, and now we are at the end of the year and the guns are still not here. What's going to happen with Kalashnikov USA? I will reach out to the guys from Kalashnikov USA again. We'll see, what the message will be.
They'll probably have the whole upper floor now this year at SHOT Show. They bought the whole thing out.
It is heartbreaking, because that could be, another player in the AK market. But so far, I'm not seeing it.
I'd love to see it. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I don't want to even go into the politics of the whole setup, how they are set up, and how this is working. Let's not jinx it.
Right.
Hopefully, they will pull it off.
Right.
But the reality of the situation is, as of December 2017, we still don't have their guns. Even, we cannot shoot between each other. There's nothing here, guys.
Nope.
So that's the situation with Kalashnikov USA.
So that's kind of it, guys. I just wanted, Rob came by. He's been busy the last few weeks. He's been wanting to come out and check out Copper and check out Chase and see Chase's new operations and, how he's all set up here. And we've been meaning to do collaborative videos. So now that you're home, and hopefully through the course of this winter, maybe if we get some really heavy snow, either I can come to you, you can come to me, and we'll do an AK fun day where it's got 2 foot of snow on the ground, and it will just feel like an AK day.
Definitely. We'll do something. It's a shame. We are way too close to each other, and we can expand. We have a great base of the devoted fans, and you have tons of fans as well. We can combine the forces and collaborate on some projects. I think so it will benefit the gun owners community.
Absolutely.
And we can deliver really some interesting content. But let's keep it this for 2018.
What, did you have some questions,
Just
Omar?
a handful of questions.
Okay.
Rob, for you specifically, what's your opinion on the Vepr rifles with the RPK receivers?
Yes, the Vepr rifles were one of my best, most favorite, most likable variants of AKs. I absolutely love them, and I was supporting the Vepr FM, especially imports, and the marketing of those rifles with all my heart, because I thought that below $1,000 that was a great option for the average guy on the street to own a solid version of or variant of the AK, which will deliver and continue to perform and shoot very well.
Yep.
So yes, I love them. Even the regular Veprs, not because the Vepr FM was more like a converted to AK Vepr, but even regular Veprs. I know, Tim, you had a bunch of those too, and they were outstanding rifles.
I think of the Russian AKs, they were the best. I saw the most consistency in the barrels and the accuracy, the quality of the finish. The Segas you'd find some good ones and some bad ones.
Yeah.
And the same is true of any manufactured item, but it just seemed to me that the Veprs consistently had the best finishes, the best barrels, the best fitment. They seem to be the best of the litter.
Moat was probably putting out one of the best AK variants in the world. There's no question about it, and it's a shame we lost them.
Yeah, when they got hit with sanctions, I was like, oh no.
That's because of the stupidity of the Moat people. But that's again not for the camera.
Not going to get into the politics of it all. Any more questions?
Tim, what is your EDC for today?
Somebody would have to ask. I got up and somebody saw it. So it's like I don't really talk about it a whole lot, but I'm a closet 1911 guy. Every once in a while you'll see me wearing a 1911, especially around the shop. Dave gives me a hard time because he thinks it's an obsolete handgun. I think we've had that conversation on video one too many times. But yeah, it's just a 1911. So yeah,
Nice.
I love them. I can't help it. It's just, it's kind of like you and AKs. You just can't stop using them and carrying them and shooting them.
Question for both of you. Out of all the AKs and AK builds that each of you own, what is your favorite build or rifle that stands out to you the most?
If I may go first, I definitely this one. It has a huge sentiment. Yes, in my heart, that was that AK Alpha. But also, I love for the basic setups. I love all the AKs made from the Polish parts kits from 60s, specifically from 60s. I'm honestly, in my eyes, this was the best decade of the parts made, and those Polish parts kits were absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. And the quality of them is absolutely fabulous. And to this day, those parts kits deliver, and when you pull the trigger, go bang. So
and they're so nicely finished. I'm going to go and say my favorite AK is the P. Maganov. That thing is so amazing. It's set up with a side folding PRS stock. I have an OSS can on it. I don't want to mess with anything, because the gun consistently shoots MOA a little over, and that's with Federal Gold Medal match. And once you get a gun that shoots like that, you don't even want to take the scope off. You don't want to take the suppressor off. You don't want to touch it for fear of jinxing it. But that gun shoots so well. It's easily a 1,000-yard AK. The only thing I would change about it is instead of 308, I want it in 6.5 Creedmoor.
Oh, that would be, that's a challenge probably for Chase, if he can build the 6.5
Chase is over there going, he had to say it. He had to say it. But I tell you what, if you want to make a true 1,000-yard AK, the P. Maganov and 6.5 Creed, man, would be...
That would be a blast to shoot, especially because the 6.5 is a little bit flatter than 308 and can give you more forgiveness.
And it's based on the Vepr, so we're going back to the Vepr. So I love the heavy receiver. I love the heavier barrels of the Veprs. They lend themselves to accuracy, and then once Chase works his magic, it's just...
There is enough meat on that gun to absorb the 6.5 Creedmoor. There's not even a question.
Yeah.
That's a very good idea. Call me when you will have it.
We keep looking over at Chase. He's like, yeah. I don't have 1,000 things to do already. Any other questions before we sign off?
Did Magpul ever contact you after you broke that Magpul?
No, they didn't. So we had an exchange. So long story short, I was out freezing rifles. I think it was a Krebs AK that had the Magpul stock on it, I think it was. And I was freezing. I was pouring water on them. It was like 19 degrees outside, and it took all of about 15, 20 minutes for all the guns to freeze. And the AK didn't fire, so I had to mortar the gun to get a round out of the chamber. And I just barely tapped it. Literally, it was like tink that hard. And the Zhukov stock snapped right off the gun. And of course, that went around the internet like fire. Everybody was proclaiming Magpul to be a junk stock. It freaked Magpul out. They reached out to me. They said, "Look, can we get the stock back in for testing? We'd like to see what happened." And in all reality, because I've since that video, I've taken 2 other rifles, stood on a picnic table, held the gun over my head, and dropped it 8 feet or more directly onto its stock, and didn't break. I think water probably got into the hinge, it froze, expanded, and it was just a perfect storm, and it broke. But they never got back to me. I said something, somebody asked me on ARFCOM, did Magpul ever get back to you? And this was like almost a year later. I said, no, they took my stock and they said they would tell me what the results of testing was. They said they would send me another stock. They never did. I never heard from them again. And they just made one snarky comment. We'll be in touch when our testing's complete. And that was over a year ago, and they've never reached back out to me. I think I made them mad.
From my experience with the Zhukov stocks, we dropped them, we beat the steel targets with them, but hit them
I've seen you do
everything, and I could never replicate that. It just goes to tell you guys that sometimes the Mother Nature works in the mysterious ways, and something definitely happened on that stock. There's no denying it. You can see it on the video.
So people ask me, do I still use the Zhukov furniture? Absolutely. You saw it on the Galil, and I still put it on my regular AKs. I think it's fine. I had that one instance. Believe me, I've tried to break that stock. Now, some people, I don't have one here. to show you guys, but some people say if you smack them, they'll fold.
They will.
And that's by design because it's a plastic hinge.
Yes.
And if you do want it to give, because if it doesn't give, that means something's going to break.
Yeah.
So I don't see that as a flaw in the stock, and I still use them. I like them.
So we have Meet the Butcher. He donated $10 and says, thanks, Tim and Rob.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Meet the Butcher. We could greatly appreciate it, man.
Go butcher some meat.
All right.
William Hoffman donated $2. He says, Rob Ski is AK Jesus. Shout out from Illinois.
No.
You guys have a fight on your hands, and Rob is in the forefront of that fight, man. Every time something crazy legislatively was happening in Illinois, I'd get on the internet, and there you were, man, like telling the people, this is what you need to do, and do it now, folks. Listen to your local activists at the grassroots level. A lot of people ask me, Mac, why don't you do more for Illinois? I try. I've spoken out on the local media for trying to get suppressors passed and stuff. But the reality is, guys, is I'm not a resident of Illinois. I'm a resident of Indiana, and you need your local leaders.
Absolutely. I always encourage the people to go and contact your local representatives, because this is where everything starts.
Yep.
If you will put enough pressure on those people, they will finally start listening. We can all scream on the TV, on the internet, but if you will not sacrifice those literally 60 seconds, write an email, pick up the cell phone, make a phone call, nothing is going to happen.
Right.
And they will continue to put the screws on us more and more. And we have to also stay vigilant, watch not just the legislators, but also watch those gun companies.
Which Springfield Armory and Rock River Arms, who sold out Illinois gun owners.
This was absolutely mind-blowing to learn about it, and it was heartbreaking too.
It was, because I love the 1911s, but people go, well, why don't you forgive Springfield, Mac? What you call them the company that shall never be named. Why don't you forgive them? Look what Bill Ruger did. Look what Smith & Wesson did in the Clinton years. Guys, Bill Ruger is dead. So all of his transgressions, I never bought mini 14s or anything because I didn't like Bill Ruger's politics. He's dead. Ruger's a different company now. With the case at Smith & Wesson, when they made that deal with the Clintons, that company no longer exists. It was sold to new ownership. So the minute Dennis Reese dies in office or sells his company, I'll forgive Springfield Armory for their treachery, but they screwed over Illinois gun owners, and there's no forgiving. And people are buying the lies that, oh, it was a rogue lobbyist.
No,
it was three people, and Dennis Reese wrote the check to the politicians. They have the tax records. They're trying to lie. And their best friend was the rogue lobbyist, has yet to be sued for all that money he cost them. I wonder why that is.
Nothing was happening there without the knowledge of the top operatives. So I don't buy any of those.
So you got to watch out, because people you think have your back don't. And sometimes, sadly, it's gun companies that are just more concerned about their profits than they are our Second Amendment rights.
Exactly. Mind-blowing.
Anyway, okay, sorry. I get off on political rips.
Josh donated $5, no message. Kerosene donated $10, says, thanks, guys. And Ready or Not donated $5 and said, will the 5.56 AK ever gain popularity in the United States?
Wow, the guy to talk to about that is Chase. There have been 5.56 AKs, and Chase, correct me if I go horribly wrong here. Chase is standing over here. There have been 5.56 AKs that have been brought into the U.S. market that were basically AK-74s with a 5.56 bolt put on them, and they don't work right. They take so much work to get them to work right, it's not even worth the effort. A true 5.56 AK has been done. The Chinese did it. I have several. They run fine. Are there any 5.56 AKs that are well made? Barrel, but they're no longer imported.
But they are no longer imported.
I have one, probably one of the best AKs on the market. Again, that Polish Barrel's an amazing rifle.
Honestly, the Saga 223s, 100 series action, they have the long stem bolt, 100 series carrier. Those, in my opinion, are the best at working with them, even over, say, the Vepr 223s. I've got a lot of factory issues with Vepr 223s.
Okay.
Problem is what you're referring to is particularly like the 106. It was a commercial grade gun. It's actually like a shortened AKM style carrier, and the bolt came out of one of their SAM series milled guns.
Okay.
They weren't made right.
So basically, what Chase is saying is the Segas are good to go. The Vepr 223s kind of okay. They could be. They're good to go. The Russian Sega's the best. The Vepr's second best. The Bulgarian 5.56 guns, they were a hodgepodge of mixed match parts, and they had some problems. And then, I know there's been, all sorts of other companies that have brought them in.
The Norinco actions, and the Briels, when you could get them, those were quality guns, but again, price and availability. If you can find a quality, 5.56 Norinco gun, generally they're old, they're standard, and nobody really wants to pimp them out because of the collector value. And again,
Sure.
they're too expensive to get into as a shooter grade gun.
Right.
And then you jump around to some of the other offerings that come like the the N90 or M90P, whatever it is. Like those they're hit or miss. The new Zastava produced guns, the metallurgy of older
The Serbian guns aren't as good as Yugoslavian guns.
The old Yugo stuff, it's the same tooling, same factory. It's not the same management. And you build old Virgin Yugo kits, they're tough as nails. The new stuff, they can be too hard or too soft, as you've experienced. And people ask me why I won't convert those to updated magwells. I've had bad luck with them.
So
basically what I think, so there is, to answer to the question directly, I think so there is a market for the 556 AK. And because how popular the 556 is in the United States, I think so it will be a cool decision, cool strategy to go with. For some strange reason, a lot of people think that the 556 by 45 is not really powerful cartridge, and they hate on the 556, which I dare you to go and see what the MK262 can do, 77 grain bullet at the extended ranges, guys. And this is not.
556 is very capable.
It's a very capable cartridge, and I think so it will be really interesting to see if someone would develop like a mass-produce AK in a 556 for the US market. Now, is it going to happen again? We are going back to the manufacturing process, and
we don't know.
That's,
I mean, it's really hard right now to get 556 AKs because all the import guns
dry out.
They're gone.
Or they are like Chase was saying. You can go and buy on the auction sites and everything, but probably going to pay way too much. Too big prices, and there is a problem with magazines too. For those AKs.
Oh yeah, the magazines are a big issue.
That's a big issue, and they are expensive.
But I know a guy that fixes the magazine issue.
Yes, Chase was the one of his Saigas with the conversion for the regular M4 magazine. That was the best option to have, and if you are lucky enough to possess that AK, congratulations to you. Would you like to sell it to me? But that's pretty much how it was going.
Yep. Any other questions, Omar?
Just Sea Beagle donated a couple bucks. Says, has Mac honor guard pistol defect? I'm guessing he's asking.
Oh wow, man, this is going around the internet. So we were having a conversation about that over lunch. So guys, I don't have an honor guard pistol. If I did, yes, I would beat it with a mallet. You know me by now. I beat everything with a hammer if I can. So it turns out that Patrick. He discovered that his honor guard pistol would fire when dropped, and he discovered that by accidentally dropping it. Then it was repeated with a mallet blow, which is standard in the industry. Then Jeremy S. over at T-Tag, over Truth About Guns, took his honor guard pistol and basically took a rubber mallet and just tapped it that hard, and bam, the gun went off. So everybody's talking about it. The internet's on fire. I don't know what the problem is. It appears that the guns do fire when dropped. I don't know how far down the path I'm going to go into getting involved in that. Am I going to go out and buy one of these guns just so I can beat it with a mallet to prove that another one goes off? Probably not going to jump on that train.
I don't know what even to say to all of this. This is the second gun in the little. It's probably in the last 6 months which is experiencing a problems when being dropped or put in the position where it's discharging when it really shouldn't.
Right.
And again, end of the 2017, 21st century, guys, is it really so hard to design the gun, the handgun? I mean, do your homework before releasing a product to the public, especially the pistols, because a lot of the pistol is much more frequently used or carried on daily basis by all of us than the rifles. So maybe spend a little bit of time, do some research, and literally you have to make them dummy proof before releasing to the market.
Right.
If you don't want to invest the money into the new product, for crying out loud, just rip off some other design which is proven. I'm not going to drop any names, but like if you don't want to be creative, rip off the design, do something right, but don't release the pistols like it's really laughable. I shouldn't probably laugh because it's rather tragic to read this. But
well, it could be the death toll for Honor Guard, which is a small veteran business,
and it would be a shame because the company, I strongly believe that they do have a heart in the right place. But now we are facing a huge, the headstorm.
Somebody could get hurt.
And somebody can get hurt. And thanks God that this happened here. So at least there is a problem and you can address it and hopefully fix it and get the product right.
If I'm looking at a striker-fired pistol, i.e. no hammer, a striker fired pistol, and it doesn't have an inertial safety on the trigger, which is the dingus in the middle of your Glock trigger or the dingus in the middle of just about any modern striker fired pistol. There's other ways to accomplish it. The H9, the new Hudson 9, has a multifaceted trigger, same thing, not quite a dingus, but it's a unique take on a dingus. Smith & Wesson has the two-part trigger, so it has a hinging bottom piece, which acts as a dingus. I mean, so basically, if you're looking at a striker-fired pistol and it doesn't have an inertial safety on the trigger, that might be your first clue. It has a chance of going off when dropped. Not that they all will, but I've become a believer because I've seen so many guns fail drop tests, and the ones that are failing them typically don't have that inertial safety on the trigger.
And again, the solutions you were talking about, it's not the rocket science. This
was developed 30 years ago.
Yeah, we're talking about the ABC of the gun design. So I don't know. It's really it makes my heart heavy to read this, and even going back to the Zig when the Zig was experiencing the problems and everything.
Right.
But like honestly, there's no excuse in my eyes because we are 21st century. Hello again. Right?
Test it. If you want to see if it'll go bang, find 10 random Marines and put them in a room with it and give them an hour. And if it's not broken or pregnant, it's market ready. So, all right. Any more questions?
We just had another gentleman donate $10. Kevin Rasmussen said, "Enjoyed the talk a lot. Thank you very much."
Thanks, Kevin.
Luke says, donate $2. Should I be worried about my RAS 47?
Depends on how much you shoot it. Rob has more experience with them than I do. I have one I've never shot. I've fired them occasionally.
What I will say to all the RAS 47 and C39 owners, at this point, you already made the purchase. You already dumped money on it, right? You already have a rifle. Keep shooting it as it is. But that being said, keep watching the internal guts. It's not that hard to remove the bolt after each range session and inspect the bolt. You really don't even have to buy the field gauge. I use the no-go gauge because from time to time I build the AKs too. But like if you want to be really safe, just get one field gauge and test it with the field gauge, head spacing, if it changed or not. But even without the gauges, the easiest clue is if you will see any premature deformations on the bolt, that's a dead giveaway. This is exactly when all the guns which exploded on the people, this was the giveaway. You watch the bolt and you can tell, yes,
you'll see it start to deface. You'll see cracks start to develop. If you see any deformation, any type of crack, stop shooting the gun.
On the locking locks, when you see the metal folding over, or you see on the locking locks, there are like steps coming in because this is from interacting with the trunnion. Stop using it and maybe take it to your gunsmith for the more in-depth inspection. But that being said, you already spent the money. I wouldn't sell it that gun back, whatever. Take the hit, enjoy whatever that gun offers to you at this point.
There are good ones and bad ones out there, just like my C39 V2.
Yeah, I mean, Tim's C39 is still working fine, and I like if I wouldn't see that gun right now after that so many rounds, I will tell Tim, like, okay,
you're making things up.
Yeah, you're making things up.
Well, you remember I did a video saying, I have a C39 V2, and mine is, dirty. Make my hands black here. But
the bolt and the bolt trigger are in absolutely very good condition, which is it's mind blowing on its own, right?
So there you go. Yeah. I mean, if you take a look at any of Rob's videos where he does his 1,000 rounds and then an inspection, you'll be able to see that this bolt is in pretty much perfect shape, and this bolt has thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds through it. And
we'll release the new video around the weekend time frame, and you will see after the 3,500 rounds how the bolt is looking like. And
even worse, the reason you see carbon running down the side of this thing is I've ran half of the ammo or more suppressed, which way overgasses the guns, which means it's really beating the snot out of itself. And somehow this gun still managed not to show any signs of severe wear. So you just never know what you're going to get, right?
That's, if you want to play the real Russian roulette, that's your Russian roulette. Speaking about the Russian roulette, don't you ever play the Russian roulette with semi-automatic pistol, because then everyone is a winner. So, but going back to the C39 or RAS 47, if you already have it, keep it. I will use it. I will just use it.
Use it unless you have some reason to think that it's going to fail.
It takes literally 30 seconds to remove the bolt, check it out, and see what you got. Okay.
All right. Is that it?
All right.
Good?
Thank you,
All right.
guys. Thanks for watching. One more time, Merry Christmas to all the Mac channel followers. Happy New Year. Hopefully it will be better than 2017.
Yep. Merry Christmas, guys. I'm sure you'll see us again. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all those years of support. We'll talk to you guys soon. Rob, thanks for coming out.
Thank you, Tim.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.